looking at everyone who's in their little box. That, the origin of this meditation circle started in 1994 back in Shelburne, Vermont. And some of you were there, right there in the beginning. And even though it hasn't been continuous weekly since that time, the core energy of it's really remained the same. And we've kind of come and gone as the need has arisen. So there's a lot of support, energetically, spiritually, and some deep ties, some deep bonds that are still very much present in this group. So it's really wonderful to have old and new faces. And one of the things that's been true about this gathering since the very beginning is that we have always welcomed anyone who has had an interest and felt a need for the support of this group. And what has seemed consistent through the years is that when people come into the group, they automatically kind of come in where everyone else is at. So I don't know what to say about that other than it really fills my heart with joy to be able to have kind of been in the center of it for so many years. And it just increases my love for all of you every time I see you. So tonight, let's see where Spirit wants to take us. With your permission, we'll begin. So take a few minutes before we get into the weaving of the circle, which is already woven, to just sense your sense of place where you are here tonight. To feel your body and whatever your body is seated on. And feel your breath. And the way the body meets the breath. And inviting the breath as a part of the great mystery to find its place in you, its rhythm in you. Feel the temperature and the texture of the air on your skin. And even more than just the concept of air, to get a sense of being held in a presence of space that is a living presence. Notice how the space feels in the location that you're sitting. But also noticing that this presence of space is the same presence of space that is in all of the locations where we find ourselves tonight. So it's one of the many things that we're sharing. Even though we're physically in different locations, those locations share this one common element of this presence that is invisible silence, and yet everywhere and in everything. So with gratitude, we open our hearts to this presence that we call space. We could also call it spirit. We could call it being. Within this simple awareness, we can actually be in the experience of a part of the Heart Sutra that says, form is emptiness and emptiness is form. So we're both the presence of the space, and we're experiencing that as the arising of the manifestation of this being, this self, through which you're both generating the experience of a living presence, being the experience of the living presence, and reflecting on the experience of the living presence. As we turn towards the formless part of our presence, that which we all share. We greet it with our heart. We turn towards it with our heart. And allow it to touch us, to inform this heart and the heart of this circle. So whatever it is that's wanting to awaken and reveal itself within the collective of this circle is present in this shared presence of space. This is the field of consciousness. It's actually creating this experience. And if we can enter it from that childlike wonder, then we open to the wisdom and the grace of the beloved. Wrapping you just as you are, just where you are, in its loving presence, support, wisdom, joyfulness. intimacy. And as we're on this journey for a relatively short period of time, in the time of eternity, we're grateful for the gift of life, for the gift of this experience, and recognizing that we're hosted on this particular planet by the mother of us all, Pachamama. We ask her permission to gather in this way. We recognize the limitations of our logical thinking minds. And we reach deep to the place in us that knows that there's something beyond us and within us that is infinitely and eternally the source of wisdom itself that we can trust in. But if we truly relax, what we need and what we need to know in this moment is present within us and within everything. And within the body of Pachamama, there are other beings that have been here longer than our lifetime, through many lifetimes, since the beginning of time on this planet, that hold the balance of the energy of our planet, our apus, the spirits of the mountains and the lakes. And we open to the energy of these beings also. And the ancient trees, the tree beings that have watched over generations and generations of human beings who have come and gone. Their presence still here, steadfastly holding us, steadfastly transmitting to us a part of our own nature. So we take a moment to feel and visualize places in nature that we have found that loving presence, that steadfast support. And allow your heart to connect with appreciation, with humility. And with all the creatures, the four-legged, the winged beings, sea creatures, the huacas, the stones of the earth. And this presence wouldn't be recognized in its fullness without our ancestors. So we greet and welcome our ancestors. And all of the beings in the angelic realm, the guides and masters in the formless dimensions. We come together. We sit as one. And we, as the humans, sit in humility as the children. Who set aside all of the knowledge that we think that we hold as knowing about ourselves and about how life works. Present to something much greater as it reveals itself to us, as us, and in us. We have a history in our culture and in our country that was born out of a fierce longing and demand for personal agency, for autonomy, which is a part of our nature, one way of experiencing ourselves. But as we've been weaving the unfolding consciousness that's emerging as we come together over these weeks, we've looked at what it means to use this agency to personally seed the future, to seed what it is that we're opening into in this next phase of our lives. And what we're seeding isn't autonomy. What we're seeding is unity, returning to the source that created us. Opening our hearts to a love that isn't a commodity, that isn't something that's here to personally satisfy us, but a love that is a presence, that knows no favorites, that rejects nothing. So we have a lot of baggage that we carry and that we see playing out. That has to do with our relationship to authority. Many of us have experienced religious authority, spiritual authority, family authority, economic authority, as having enacted itself, its agency, in ways that were oppressive. So it's a challenge for us to turn towards what it is that's creating us, that has an ultimate authority, the beloved. And open our hearts completely. To use our agency, not for personal gain, but in the true meaning of service, the service that each of us is here for, to serve the one being, to serve the beloved, that which is the presence in this space. If we truly open and let ourselves feel into it, we can't but experience its unconditional love. Can't help but feel this presence holding us each personally, meeting us each personally, loving us individually. And if we fully open to this love, this presence, this experience, we can also recognize that it's meeting each and every one of us in a unique way, but in the same way. When our hearts are open in this way, we don't even need to use personal agency to allow the love of this being, the essence of our being, to begin to flow out of our hearts and around the circle, effortlessly, naturally, sharing itself, weaving itself into a beautiful tapestry of color, sound, of light, wisdom. Letting go of the agency of the ego to allow the agency of the true self to live through us, as us. So we feel this weaving of one heart to the next, passing around the circle until the circle is complete. We sit back, relax, and allow it to simply happen. Feel it growing, filling itself out in ways that we can't begin to orchestrate. As the weaving becomes stronger, fuller, richer, deeper, the qualities flow together and flow into the center of our circle. Where they rest for a moment around the light of a central flame, the light of the inner heart. As we gaze upon this light in the center of our circle, it's like a mirror that reflects back to us that same light in our own heart. But we see that the light in our heart is a reflection of the one light. It not only reflects its light, but it reflects its nature, its presence. And this light begins to rise high into the evening sky, cascading out in all directions, effortlessly, generously. Naturally giving of itself. As we relax, sit back and experience it, watching it happen, feeling it happen. As we sit gazing at the light in the center of the circle, seeing it reflecting back the light of your own inner heart. Take a moment to open and ask this light to reflect some other quality in you. It's always been there. But something that you haven't known to be true about yourself until now. Perhaps something that your parents couldn't see in you. This loving light has many faces. What is it showing you? that has always been true about you. It's always been held for you by this loving presence. And allow whatever this quality is to begin to flow through your breath into the rest of your body, the rest of your presence, to begin to light up, to ignite within this living consciousness that is you. Just one of the many jewels that makes up the majesty of your soul, but the one that is wanting to be seen, to be revealed, to be offered as a seed for the future. And as collectively we sit in this multifaceted body of light, a crystalline structure, like a beautiful chandelier, allow yourself to let the loved ones that are in your life come to mind gently, and just invite them into this beautiful crystalline structure filled with all of these qualities of our essence. Let it be a reflection to the hearts of each of these beings, of who they are. Invite them to rest in this presence just as we're resting in this presence. And as these multicolored rays of light flow up through the central light that's extending out over our communities and over the entire earth. The nature of it is to reflect itself to all beings, those who are suffering, those who are dying. It's what returns us to our source. We open to Mother Earth and all of her creatures, knowing that we ourselves are doing nothing, but that we are open, so that being itself can flow through us, can live through us. And yet we can turn with a smile and a softening of our heart to the one that holds us, the one that nurtures us. As if we're meeting her for the first time. As if we're meeting ourselves for the first time. And as you are this light, this presence yourself, within the greater body of humanity, within the body of Pachamama, feel the experience. If you can bring a bit of awareness to the space right in front of you, awareness to the space behind you, to the right of you, to the left of you, above and below. Within the vastness of being, this is the experience and the location of the experience of your soul. Being held and created by the one presence that is everywhere. A presence that is without judgment. Let yourself deepen into it. Be absorbed into it. Allow it to love you as fully as you can. Giving up the defenses the ideas, the stories, the history. Be here now as you, letting yourself be loved as fully as possible. Asking permission to enter the doorway to the kingdom of heaven that's here on earth as yourself. And allow yourself to step through. And then bathe yourself in the silence and the stillness of this moment as we sit together for a few minutes. And while we're resting in this presence, I'd like to share a poem that I've shared with some of you before in retreats. It's a poem by David White. It's called The Faces at Braga. In monastery darkness, by the light of one flashlight, the old shrine room waits in silence. While beside the door we see the terrible figure, fierce eyes demanding, will you step through? And the old monk leads us, bent back, nudging blackness, prayer beads in the hand that beckons. We light the butter lamps and bow, eyes blinking in the pungent smoke. Look up without a word. See faces in meditation, 100 faces carved above, eye lines wrinkled in the handheld light. Such love in solid wood, taken from the hillsides and carved in silence. They have the vibrant stillness of those who made them. Engulfed by the past, they have been neglected, but through smoke and darkness, they are like the flowers we have seen growing through the dust of eroded slopes. Their slowly opening faces turned toward the mountain, carved in devotion. Their eyes have softened through age, and their mouths curved through delight of the carver's hand. If only our own faces would allow the invisible carver's hand to bring the deep grain of love to the surface. If only we knew, as the carver knew, how the flaws in the wood led his searching chisel to the very core, we would smile too, and not need faces immobilized by fear and the weight of things undone. When we fight with our failing, we ignore the entrance to the shrine itself and wrestle with the guardian, fierce figure on the side of good. And as we fight, our eyes are hooded with grief and our mouths are dry with pain. If only we could give ourselves to the blows of the carver's hands, the lines in our faces would be the trace lines of rivers feeding the sea, where voices meet, praising the features of the mountain and the cloud and the sky. Our faces would fall away until we, growing younger toward death every day, would gather all our flaws in celebration to merge with them perfectly, impossibly, wedded to our essence, full of silence from the carver's hand. So as we come into these last few moments of our time, having walked through the doorway, surrendering our defenses to the one who is always here, reflecting the light of our inner heart to us. We look to those reflections that are in our personal experience. First, the body of our Mother Earth, the one who gives us life in the world of form. We bow down before her, touch her body as our body, and say thank you. To all our apus, the spirits of the land that hold the balance of her body, of her organs, of her health, of our health. We say thank you. To our ancestors who have paved the pathways that have brought us to be here in this way at this time. Through whose DNA, the strands of our own essence and personalities have come together to make this body, this mind. We say thank you to our guides and teachers, those who are in form and those who have passed on, who've pointed us in the direction of this inner light so that we might see who we truly are. We say thank you. To the angelic presences, whose grace fills us with the perfection of our being in the many ways that it shows up. We say thank you. And to the guides that arrive as masters of the light, who illuminate our becoming, who open the wisdom of our deepest knowing, we say thank you. To each other, as we sit in this beautiful presence that has sustained itself, held itself over these many, many years, and the many circles that extend and connect with this circle, for the dedication, the devotion, the sincerity, the love, which is the only thing that can sustain a circle like this. We say thank you. And as we turn towards this self, the true self, this soul that has come to live with such courage in this lifetime, in this time of transformation, we say thank you. Aho.